We're live up to 30 minutes, which this video has probably gone on too long if it is more than 30 minutes long. By live, I mean I'm recording right now as I say this. You are watching it later. It looks like a live stream, but I'm not that high tech or complicated or important or famous. I hope to God that I cut most of this, but if you're seeing it, I didn't, did I? This video, great introduction, great introduction. I'm good at this. I'm trying to write a book, and I'm going to thread that into a video that is about kind of that, but also not that, because it's about taking feedback. It is about an exchange in that way, because I'm going over a little bit of feedback from a critique partner that I had from another person seeking to be a debut author. Now, what this person wrote, and it's a she, I think is a book with a lot of potential. I really think it's a book that I would want to read once it's edited and ready for prime time, so to speak, in a way that it's not yet. Neither is mine. Neither is mine. But that's why that's the system for critique partnering working the way it should. Sort of. Professionals who have done this, it's probably been done better even by debut writers than what either one of us are doing it, is what I'm saying. Because I think we both have some amateur mistakes. And like my word count in the 40 something thousands right now for my manuscript is literally considered red flags and people who are not ready to be published for a sci-fi novel. So I have work to do. However, on the flip side, hers is going to be at its heart a romance novel. She tried to describe it as not a romance novel, but it's a romance novel, which is, you got to know what your book is, and I don't want to, I don't want to force something onto it that's not her intention. She needs to write the book that she wants to write. It's her story. This is a romance. The romance is the heart of the story that she wrote. So she's got to square that circle, or make that a circle. Yeah, it comes with a tightness in the plot too. Simultaneously, will just tighten it into being a cohesive romance story. Is I believe that's the realization that she came to her. I really want to do, first of all, to preface this further, is to tell you that I didn't exactly hold back the feedback. Now, I told her where I thought it was good, but because like right here, I say this is a pretty well done description of a sped up sequence, but what it doesn't do that I can tell is add anything about this character or the plot or the world building. And writing 101 is every word has to do that. Something, character, plot, world build, preferably all three, all of it. I say missing something. I say they seemed to randomly smarten up a bit here. The characters randomly smartening up a little bit in the middle of a scene. I like this somewhat more, but if this chapter must exist, I would offer it's a chance to get away from having just two people talking in every scene. Throw them in a meeting with their boss and mentor or something. So yeah, there you go. And I won't give you the character specific feedback. I'm not going to reveal any of that. That's why you're just looking at me and not the screen. Sorry. Uh, I was going to try to find one piece of comment in particular, but it's not letting me search a piece of feedback, a comment in particular, because it was just, oh, here it is. I wrote to this poor aspiring author that I'm kind of lost on why these people have strung any of these words together in this order. But I took the time to read it. I took the time to want to understand it, and I gave feedback on it. and my point is that you can do that and be honest. There is still room in that for in this world. Uh, and I think every writer has written something to which that feedback is deserved at some point. If they write enough, you will. And there's a lot of cuts, trim, cut this, just a lot of here and there stuff that's a little bit overwritten, a lot, a lot overwritten in places. Some of it's a little, some of it's a lot. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's as far as I need to go for what I'm talking about. I will hopefully edit this down a little bit. Let me get to my feedback from her. As soon as I switch to the screen, the first comment that I'm pulled up to says, "This is meaningless." We were not nice to each other all through. And I think what I want to get at here is some feedback that I don't want to take. I think that this is somebody who I appreciate taking the time to read it all. I think this is a very, very smart person who did some things with her book better than what I did with mine, including like, freaking sentence structures and places and stuff that mine's pretty clunky on at times. I have one that I didn't even see that says the scene really doesn't make any sense. It lacks consistency with prior character work, so the payoff feels fake. Now, what I need here is, what inconsistency? I would need to know that. I think she's expecting me to read her mind on what she's talking about. Okay, but the previous comment gets into it a little bit. And I just don't know what prior character work she's talking about. I really don't. Um, like I really might even want to just flag this and ask the question. Yeah, hopefully I'll edit this out, but I want to know what prior character work we're talking about. I really do. I can I can get some things. I can get it feeling rushed. I can get it feeling straining credulity, it being too unbelievable. I can get a lot of things. The phrasing lacks consistency with prior character work. The character, this is like a not convoluted, but convoluted time travel story. It's not convoluted as time travel stories go, but if time travel stories sounds convoluted to you, this qualifies. Um, but in the story, Micah was nothing but interested in asking questions about the future to begin with. So, what prior character work makes it so unbelievable that he doesn't want to stay? Because he was dissatisfied in the present, in the time that he came from. He didn't have a lot of ties to it. He was in his own head, kind of alone. And then he comes into this world, and it's like, wait, there's so much more going on here, and I'm more like, and there's people I've kind of became. I have a I don't think relevance is like a term that I used in the characterization or the character development, but now that I'm kind of that's part of what's drawing him into it is just that he's more needed and more, yeah. So She says, the scene doesn't make any sense. I don't think she makes it. Line here, I still feel an urge to return to the temporal guard. I think calling it meaningless is actually just ridiculous feedback. I really do. But now that I'm reading it, even though I can sort of read it out loud, and all of my dialogue it can be read out loud and make sense, at least to me. But here, oh my god, I left a sentence that has a capital A-N-D and after a comma. So, I draft rough sometimes. So, it's not meaningless. Meaningless is ridiculous as feedback goes. To call it meaningless, it's definitely not. But boy, did I fuck up the sentence. I feel like this is supposed to be the allegory for humanity, but it falls flat. Well, who told you that this was supposed to be an allegory for humanity? I don't understand it. I don't understand the feedback. So this man who can't be counted on to talk to strangers is going to team up with the cyborg to save the world at his own peril. Welcome to science fiction. But then she has like the question, what does this mean? And the answer is exactly what it says. I think this is like a well-written sentence. 4 sentences in a row, all he verbed. Yes, intentional at times. You don't always need to there's plenty of variation of sentence structures. This is intentional. It's moving his motion a little bit step by step. That is the pace. That's the correct pacing of the scene. He took a cautious step forward. He held his head steady, but shifted his eyes around. He saw no one at this door. He pushed it open the rest of the way. Yeah, it works. Fuck you. Right. You called me out for the same thing. I wrote, she heard footsteps. That was my line. I gotta do better than that. You gotta do better than that. I'll do a little bit better than that. Here she says, this is a social commentary I am here for. Well, there you go. Glad you could have it, but, you know, I don't, it's not going to be super preachy sci-fi. It's going to be just a little bit, not a lot. Sorry. I enjoy seeing the weird delay on the little screen that I'm looking at. I think I wanted to find feedback that I could just outright fucking reject on this at point blank. But for the most part, some of it is lots of noun verb construction. Yeah, that's how a fucking sentence works. But no, I mean, she's onto something in this passage. Like, I'll work on it. Some feedback that I missed that's very important. I accidentally had some of the dialogue from Nesmith straight up duplicated because I was intending to cut it the first time and move it into something else, and it ended up where I was gonna cut it from. It ended up kind of still working as a scene, so I kept some of the exact freaking dialogue wording in 2 places. See, women are reasonable. There's a lot of good feedback to work on and act on. So there you go. Like, I do think like she has a lot of feedback that if I leave and come back to it the second or third time, I start to understand the flow, where she's coming from, what I might do. But there's bits and pieces of it that are just too far. Like what the also has a habit of just giving me nothing on a good bit. There's some pretty important stuff here. Like, I really don't know if she actually read it all. So there you go. And called it out of the blue and completely out of the character, which I think is Ridiculous? Unfair. So that's the feedback I got on it so far. But, so, it's probably feedback that I'm not going to entirely act on. I'm going to go back into the earlier feedback. Like, this is if you were going to do this, as though I shouldn't do it. I'm going to do it. We know that. And I know it is right for the character. And I know that it's reasonably established that it is right for the character. But that doesn't mean that she's a stupid person who I should not listen to. The thing about getting somebody to read like a whole book and give you feedback on it and it's all your work is you get a chance to be like, wait a minute, this person is right some of the time. And even if they're not completely right or completely right for you and what you want to do and what you have to say to the world, they can improve you. Um, but you just gotta understand what they mean, and you gotta have a sense of what you want. You shouldn't automatically listen to like Brandon Sanderson talk about beta reader feedback that you should not always take. Sometimes you want readers to be a little confused here. You want readers to have this question at this point because you're working towards something and you know what it is. So, and you know that it's going to pay off. So you let it slide and you don't act on it. This is not a traditional sci-fi reader. She's not pretending to be. So on some things, like she wants a certain kind of, she was implying that I should do a certain type of thing with the emotions of my creature Lachesis. That would be a mistake because it would make it more like many other sci-fi characters. The stories have already been told. Making Lachesis have the relationship he does with emotion, where it's largely a little bit understated, and she's right that there's a little bit of references to hope and fear and stuff that I might rethink or at least massage a little bit to be more explicitly right for the themes and the characters than they are right now. Still, there were some other scenes surrounding that I had to really work to get right, and I may have neglected that. So, yeah. So, the through line. Oh, and then feedback like, seriously, that was an underwhelming conversation for this level of nostalgia. And it's like, I know. But that's what happens when it's a lonely character who doesn't get a lot of attention. So it's the sense of the possibilities opening up for him in this world. It was small, but it was significant. So, and I can examine the possibilities with several different pieces of our feedback. This would easily get. I don't want this sense of it being too tacked on, but there is a world where I just kind of explain a little bit more. There's a couple of places where that might make some sense. I'll look into it. I'll try out some things in different paragraphs. So yeah, but that's the thing. I said a lot of nice things about her story. She here and there said a few nice things about mine. For the most part, she seemed to plow through it and not take the time to understand stuff that she should have. But still, read the ending, gave it feedback on it. There's a lot of actionable stuff throughout it. And if the world could be more like that, have a little bit longer attention span, we would be off to the races as a species in a way that we are not these days. I'm probably preaching to the choir as far as attention spans if you sat through all of this. but I'm trying out my new headsets, teasing a story that I'd be interested to build a little bit of a following towards. And I will leave you now. Let me know what you think. Questions, thoughts, suggestions. I'm out. Like and subscribe, please and thank you.